Right. Greetings, all. It is CJ Hoffsright back again, except this time I'm going to be inside the computer and on the outside as well. I'm giving my headset a chance to do some recording this time around, and for that, I thought we would check out the aesthetic of terrors in the night. So, for the aesthetic, I've got Pinterest, which I've used for a long time. I think I'm the only follower of this account here. So, we're going to start with the people. So, beautiful people, this board is what I've used for reference as individuals and art styles that I found to be the most telling, the easiest to kind of draw from for what I would be looking for in Terrors of the Night, kind of what the people would be looking like, who would be there, like this this is a perfect example of a like this is a ghost right here. This is insane. So things like that. You've got tough old ladies out in the street. You've got working class women here. There's old scruffy men. Wow, load. Somehow, even with the internet, it still doesn't work perfectly. But there are going to be pets in the game I would like to have for certain classes. I'll bring that up later as well. So here's a photograph of this guy could be a ghost hunter and his dog. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that sticks out immediately, but a lot of these boards were just kind of rushed. Nah, not rushed, but these were all knocked out within a good afternoon's work. Vintage-ish, this is supposed to be the architecture of the architectural aesthetic of what this world would look like. Something along the lines of here's indoor pools. I would love to explore places like that. This looks like it's underground, even though I'm pretty sure that's clouds, but it looks like it's underground, which that'd be an amazing place to set a story. And then we got here, this should be right along a riverbank, which is kind of important, especially along with the River Thames, I believe it is, that runs directly through London. It's a very important part of that city, which, of course, bridges are a very good place to set hauntings. This photograph here was one I absolutely love. This building didn't even look like it's there. This just looks like a ghost building, which is perfect. So there's vintage-ish. There's flies and disease, kill the fly and save the child. Kind of imagine if this little poster here was for ghosts. That's kind of the theme I'm going for with those. Moving on. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit tougher to explain, but what I would like for this here with box stuff, if the world is inhabited by ghosts, then we could probably push the limits of technology a little bit, a little tiny bit. So, with that, I've created this board as a way to show how far I would want technology to be represented in Terrors in the Night. I love these, the light bugs, but there's no use for them. In practical steampunk technology, there's light everywhere. But what if those lights went out? The ghosts are able to shut down power to a location. That's why the characters need to carry around candles. So why can't, let there be a class that can create little bugs? I love the glass vacuum tubes, the chambers. These are ticker lights, whatever they're called. I love them. Small box devices, I think that's perfect. A typewriter like machine that, maybe you can get the spirits to type out their clues. And maybe you can get the spirits to speak through something, maybe something like this. They could speak through that or show their face or something. Like, that's just cool. Vehicles, I'd like vehicles to be like a little nicer. Like, here, these people could have this on to like be hearing ghosts. It all works. It all works. And that's kind of the point. Is that a lot of this goes together. Like, what if you contained life in a jar? How would that, affect a world full of ghosts? So this is like the limits of the technology I would want to kind of sit and stay at for Terrors in the Night. I would love for there to still be technology, for there to be some sort of, you know, a little bit of a fantasy element to it, but nothing too extreme for sure. Lastly, here, at least from the Pinterest side of things, is kitchen sink. So, kitchen sink is, everything in the kitchen sink. These are like ideas of the ghosts, because what I like for my ghost to very specifically look like would be just normal people, except for a single skeletal feature. Maybe their arms are bones, or their legs, or their torso, or just their head. That's what I would like my ghosts to look like. If not, I love this. This is really cool. Like, a lot of the best stuff is going to come from the kitchen sink. Art styles that I like. I love like round art styles. Like, it's tough to explain. As much as people don't like the gumballs and that sort of stuff, I love that stuff. I think this is like a really, really amazing photograph to show, the combating some kind of spirits out in the woods. This artist, I believe it has to be his name, but that's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. This would be a character. Like, this looks like a character. Like, in my head for characters, this is what they would look like. That probably should be in a different setting, different board. But here's 1825. Here's here's dudes talking to a ghost. I mean, that's perfect. It's perfect. Kind of like an indoor liminal setting. Another one there. There's some good early 2000s worth 1000 internet for you. This is perfect. So this is exactly what M.R. James depicts his ghosts as, which this is exactly what I'm looking for like my kind of setting, my kind of world. That's what it looks like. Here's another great thing I like, the simple aesthetic to it. This would be a really amazing idea, like the science faction. Perhaps they have this, good, pretty building up on top of the surface, but below it's just this massive structure that no one ever knew about. Field notes. I imagine that's how my ghost hunters get their experience, is through the notes from another ghost hunter. And then here's an example of like a floor plan of what I imagine with my world is like. How'd you count this? Hallway 1, hallway 2. Then you have 1, 2, 3 rooms. And they have 1, 2, 3 rooms. So here's 2 hallways, 6 rooms. Here's the second floor, 1 hallway for 1, 2. We'll say 3, 4. 1 hallway for 4 rooms. So that's just a really good example of how I get the the justification for the hallways to rooms for the game. Alright, I think that was it for Pinterest, those four things. So let's move on to just the internet. So, as I explained, there is a very mild, open world aspect to Terrors in the Night, and the easiest way for me to show you this is going to be by just showing you. If you search 1920s London, you will come up with maps, all sorts of maps. And so here's the very first map. It's very pretty. It's very pretty, very detailed, up close, very fantastic looking map. So with that, in the settings of the game, there's going to be, not the settings, I apologize. In the notes, I guess you could almost call the tabletop notes, the game board or whatever it is, the settings in a way. But you'll be able to find Drury Lane Theater. So here off of Drury Lane Theater is going to be, here's London, Drury Lane Theater, smack dab right in the center of London. So this was just by pure chance. I don't remember how I came across Drury Lane Theater. I don't recall how. It might even have just been from Pinterest. But with that, with it being right here in the center, the game takes place in a pub. It starts the very first campaign. What is it? Session 0 takes place somewhere in here. So you, as the game master, can just pick. Oh, it's going to be here. Oh, it's going to be here. Oh, I want it to be over here. Like it's, if you bring up Google, you search Drury Lane Theater, you can show your players this is where we're at. And from here, I've gone ahead and did up this with that other map over here. So with this, I have how I would imagine the factions would be set up, I would think. So within this, you have the law, the occultists, and the science. And then everyone all mixes in the middle. And then if you zoom in, Drury Lane Theater, or Drury Lane, is right up in here. If you remember the little wiggles right here, if I'm correct, that's where Drury Lane is, right there. If I am right, which I think I am. I think I've got the wiggles right. But that it just goes to show that it's all right here. If you really, really, it's really so simple to just throw this up. Which that's what I want for my game. I want it to be as simple as just getting a map, throwing some lines up, and saying, okay, here's the borders, here's this, here's that. As you complete missions, you can alter these lines. You can bring science into law, bring science into the occult. What's that going to change? How does that change? What if the occultists want to get stuff from the river more from like the mouth of the river Thames rather than from the end? Like this is the most basic way to do it, but I think because it's the most basic way to do it, that's why this works so well. And I would love to give you an example here of at least some of my idea of what characters are going to be. So in the next video, this should be video number 6, I'm going to begin the process of actually playing this first campaign by myself with these characters. And all these names, William Hunt, Helen Webb, Charles King, and Mildred Wood, I got all of these from first name, last name. I just searched Google most popular first name, last name. 1920s London, England. So these are all like names that I've pulled from popular lists, and it just worked out so well. William Hunt, he's 31, and he's a level. They're all going to be level 3, just so I can, have them, a little bit more experienced in this world. Thus is why they're being called in together to be a team. So if you got William Hunt, 31, he's a ghost hunter. Will is a generally happy man. This is from PTSD due to a tragic sinking accident while he served in the Royal Navy. His large vessel struck a rock and sank, taking almost all souls aboard down within an hour. He survived due to being injured prior, and some nurses were able to get him off the ship before they were all lost going back in to help others. So Will feels a great deal of guilt from this, and he shows that by being the happiest guy in the room no matter what. So Will he's very outgoing. He's like he's the young go at it guy. He's very excited, but it's just because it's the only emotion he can show anymore. If he shows any other emotion, it's not going to be good. He's going to have issues. Then there's Helen Webb. She's going to be the science officer. From a young age, Helen wanted to know the world around her better, even at the cost of some insect limbs. But she's not a morbid individual. She's a very direct and a matter of fact kind of person. Helen has no major tragic past, and she doesn't feel like that holds her back. She was raised as an orphan, so her life has been rough from the beginning. Helen is fascinated by what spirits are capable of. She sees them much as herself, alone and lost in the world, but they're not weak, merely misunderstood. Charles King, 35. He's a level 3 Metro policeman. So I don't know anything, and I can't really find exact research right now on how police structures work in London, England, especially back in the 1920s. So I imagine he's a Metro. He's right in the middle of the city, serving as a police officer. So King has spent his life always being the one who told the truth. He had big shoes to fill after his father passed away. He was only 12. So he had to take care of his family and his mom. Um, he has starved more than most and more often than most. But this has not affected his size. King, he's a big guy. He stands over 6 feet, weighs a couple 100 pounds, or, a few good stone. I believe that's an actual measurement. That is an actual measurement. But he has almost no temperament. He's a big guy, so he's very in control of himself. He's a very gentle tone. He doesn't really bellow. He's not like he may be a big guy, but doesn't he have a big presence? So, and the reason he is currently a ghost hunter, or the reason he's doing this, is he lost his job due to an injury and being the only survivor of a spirit attack. So he and his team, or whoever he was working with, were drawn into a building. They were trying to catch down some occultist murderers, or murderer, they don't know. And there just so happened that in that building there was a very angry ghost that just. If you have ever seen the movie Spectral from Netflix, which I've seen a lot, I love that movie. It's really good. It's kind of like that. In Spectral, there's a scene where a group of army people go into a building and they just get wiped out one by one. And that's kind of what happened to Charles. He's the one who escaped out of there. And so now there's no connection between the two, but Charlie wants the answers. He wants to know. He feels like there was a connection. And then of course there is the level 3 occultist. So that's gonna that's gonna cause some tension. Or is it? Because Charlie is a man who I've already described as someone who's in control of himself. So I think if he knows Mildred had nothing to do with it, he won't be bothered by her. But we'll have to figure that out later. But Mildred is mysterious. She's a woman who knows the land better than most men. Mildred comes from the deep woods of the German mountains. She seems to have been drugged into this pub just by her feet. This woman seems as though you plucked her right from the woods and dropped her in the middle of this London city. She has what some would consider magic powers. She can speak to her cat, and the cat speaks back. But it's just like she speaks to it, and it meows in response. Um, Mildred's just very lonely. She was abandoned in the woods, so she's kind of got that connection with Helen here. They're both by themselves, and both are very capable, competent women. She was happy with life, but life seems to be unhappy with her. But that has just made her far more powerful. So that's Mildred, and you can see under the here I've got a couple decks of cards, and then like a Yu-Gi-Oh card that I would like to have kind of represent them, because as I established in the last video with the future plans and the other things, that there should be some sort of way for the players to really show and represent their characters. And I would really love for that to be some kind of like immediate application on their phone to where they could just swipe through. It's like, okay, my character is going to be this class. They're going to look like this. They're going to have this pair of pants with this jacket. And you stack it up and you're like, okay, here's what my guy looks like. And it's like, okay, cool beans. You guy looks cool. All right, wow. Hey, is that like a seasonal hat? Yeah, man, that's a seasonal hat. We got it for free. Well, of course you did, because everything's free. That's like that's kind of what I'm going for here. So, all right, we're pushing it. We're good. It's late at night. I'm incredibly tired, and I really think this new headset is working out really good. This is going well. All right, I'm gonna turn in. Y'all have a great rest of your night, or have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go have a good rest of my night, and I'm gonna go to sleep. All right, bye, y'all.